So what are variables? In the previous lesson, you learned about how JavaScript can manipulate HTML and CSS styles, change the content of our websites with inner HTML, and finally, that JavaScript can change images at the click of a button. But now, let's talk about the biggest part of any programming language, variables. So to explain in the simplest way possible, variables are just things that can change and are always changing. For example, your height. Your height is a variable since you grow taller over time. It is always changing. Another example is the speed of your car on the road. When our parents start driving, the speed of the car is 0, right? When the car starts accelerating, that speed variable will change from 0 to, let's say, 60. Variables in JavaScript. Now that you know what variables are, let's talk about creating one in JavaScript. So to create a variable, we have two things to the left of the equal sign and one thing to the right. On the left-hand side, we have the var keyword, which just stands for variable and tells JavaScript we want to define a variable. And next to that, we have the name of our variable, which can be anything you want, but it should actually make sense. For example, if I want to create a variable that stores my height, I would name my variable height. But I can also name it my height. It does not matter. On the right-hand side, we give our variable a value. This value can be a word or a number. It does not matter. So using height of a person as an example again, we can declare a variable by coding. So var height equals to 150. There are two types of values you need to know for now: words or strings, and numbers. In programming, we can call words strings and numbers integers. The reason we need to know this is because strings are slightly different to integers when we give our value to our variables. When working with strings, we need to put inverted commas around our value. For example, let's take height again. Previously, we set height to 150. 150 what? Meters? So we would be too tall. What about centimeters? As soon as we add letters to this variable value, it will become a string. Since it contains letters like a word does, so in JavaScript, we would write this in the same way, but with our inverted commas, like so. Var height equals to inverted commas 150 centimeters, close inverted commas. An example. So let's now move away from the height example and let's give you an example of how you would do basic mathematics variables. Let's define two integers or numbers and call the variables x and y. Let's give the x the value 5 and y the value 10. So we define var x equals to 5, var y equals to 10. Now, let's make the third variable and call it sum. Can you guess what we are about to do? If you said add the two variables together, you are correct. So let's define var sum equals to x plus y. So in this example, we can actually add variables together. Think in your head, in the variable above, replace x with what we set our value to, so 5, and replace y with what we set y to, so 10. So sum is equal to 5 plus 10, which means the value of our sum variable is 15. We could just as easily replace that plus with a minus, divide, or even a times. The computer will do it for you. And if you haven't figured out already, this is actually how calculators work. In this and the next lesson, we will be preparing to build our own calculator app. Don't worry, it's not too bad. We will be with you every step of the way. Okay, good luck and have fun coding.